All right, something to keep in mind. Everyone who relies on TVA for power is being asked to reduce their usage as much as they can. Now, this includes customers of KUB, Appalachian Electric Cooperative, and the Sevier County Electric System. The TVA says making this request usually helps the situation.
Every little bit helps when you spread it out among 10 million consumers over 7 states, but we don't really have an eye into people's houses to see exactly what they did or when, but we do know it makes a difference every time we make that request. It certainly helped a month ago when we had our all-time peak demand on January 22nd. We know it shaved a couple hundred megawatts off of the demand that morning, and certainly helped us meet that record peak. And we expect, the same thing this week.
Now, TVA suggests not using appliances like dishwashers and dryers during these time frames of early in the morning till about 10, turning off lights, of course, when you leave the room as well. With the snowfall and frigid temperatures we're experiencing, work crews in Knox County and elsewhere in East Tennessee are still out in full force. The city of Knoxville providing an update on the response management involving public works and how our road conditions will be made as safe as possible. Now, we are told 70,000 gallons of brine has been used since Monday, as well as a couple of hundred tons of salt. Jim Snowden with the Engineering and Public Works Department there says they started getting calls about 4:45 this morning about some slick spots on the road, with crews addressing those areas throughout the day.
It did kind of cover up our roads, but it was pretty dry snow, powdery snow. Roads that did have quite a bit of traffic on it, it pretty much blew off immediately. But those that didn't, we did see a little bit of packing of that light snow, and we have been applying salt with calcium chloride on it. And as soon as we go through, it's pretty much off once that salt hits it. So that's what we're trying to do right now, and have done since about 5 o'clock this morning. So we do hope that by the end of the day to have the roads back in good condition.
Knox County officials are monitoring the forecast to plan ahead for tonight and tomorrow. Now, speaking about the roads, TDOT says it's already out filling up potholes, mainly in rural areas. They were out there today. They'll be out there tomorrow. Now, in the winter, the department says they have to rely on a cold mix approach to fill those potholes. This is because many asphalt plants are not open. TDOT says this is not a long-term solution. They say in the summer they will go back and repatch and repave. The department has inspectors, but they also rely on residents to report potholes that need to be repaired.
There's a way that folks can file a claim if their vehicle is damaged by a pothole. That goes through our Department of Treasury. But it's very important that you report a pothole, because the way that you can get compensated if your vehicle is damaged by a pothole is they look at if that pothole was reported and if TDOT had ample amount of time to respond to it and how severe it was.
So if you spot a pothole that you want TDOT to fix, you can either fill out an online maintenance request form or call its road repair hotline at 833-TDOT-FIX. Right. While the cold affects all of us when we're outside, of course, it really has an impact on those who have to work out there. With snow on the ground and bitter temperatures outside, many businesses, well, they'd like to close or maybe move to working from home. But for those working in construction or maybe repair type jobs, they say they got to get out there and do the job despite the weather. Now, according to a local construction company we talked to, working in frigid conditions can pose new challenges. While ice and snow can bring more threats for the safety of their employees, they say they try to keep them out of the conditions as best as possible, moving as much work that they can indoors. When they're unable to keep people inside, they also say they change up schedules, sometimes opting for working longer hours and then a shorter week, or taking more breaks inside where it's warm during the day. And while keeping warm can be a challenge, they say it can also impact the materials they use.
Just getting into this job site the other day, the lock's frozen. You can't even get the key out of the box. Or we run into the same thing with trailers and equipment. Things are frozen up. They're more difficult to work with. Materials get brittle. If you're working with anything plastic or something that gets brittle in the cold weather, it's easy to break. Your hands are numb. It's kind of just awful out here, but we still have a job to do.
Ultimately, they tell us if it's too cold outside for employees to work, they will pause and start again the next day. All right, big help coming to those in need of a warm place to stay up in Knox County. With frigid temperatures dipping into the 20s and teens, a warming center in Newport setting up and offering shelter to those who need it. Feed My Sheep Ministries is a 24-hour-a-day warming center providing food, providing shelter and warmth to those in need. The shelter serves lunch, it serves dinner, and even breakfast on some days. There's always a hot meal for lunch, and they take care of anyone who comes through that door. Now, all the items, all the supplies used are being donated by the Newport community. We're told anywhere from 20 to 60 people come in and out of the shelter throughout the day. Shift leader and volunteer Janie Puckett shares what conditions are like in Newport.
So today we actually live in Parrotsville, and we live in the country, and our roads were a little bit slippery and slushy until we got to the main 4-lane road, and then it was better. But we have folks who have come in who have said near City Park, which is still in the city limits, that it's treacherous back that way. I will say most of our folks don't drive, so that's even worse that you're having to walk in these conditions.
Feed My Sheep Warming Center will continue to stay open 24 hours through Monday morning. Sunday will be the last night that they'll be open. All right, back here in Knoxville, there will be 5 warming centers open tonight, and they are still searching for volunteers. They're still looking for donations like blankets and things like that. The newest location is Church Street United Methodist Church in downtown Knoxville. If you'd like to donate, they're looking for things like blankets, non-perishable food, and toiletries. To find out where to drop off your donations, how you can volunteer at a location that's close to you, you can find this story on our website at WATE.com. Keep in mind, there are warming centers really across East Tennessee. TEMA has shared this interactive map of those locations. You can also find a link on our website to that.